A cybersecurity expert in London found a bug in Google's search engine that can alter or manipulate search results. This is done by splicing together values from the Google search results called knowledge graph. Now, Googling something like who is the U.S. president can return results like Snoop Dogg. Now, it all sounds like fun tricks and pranks, but the cybersecurity expert says this vulnerability can be used in more nefarious ways to spread misinformation. So joining us now to further discuss, investigative journalist Ben Swann. Hey there, Ben. So let's talk about this. What other dangers do you see that could potentially come out of this?
Well, I think the biggest danger is exactly what you just said. It's the spread of misinformation. It's the ability for organizations and for groups to be able to really alter search results, understanding, I think, pretty well that the public in general goes to Google to search for answers, and most people don't dig for those answers. They take whatever that top search result is or whatever information comes up in the headline. So I think the biggest danger here is if you want to spread misinformation, and we know there are groups doing it all the time, this is an easy way to be able to kind of manipulate some of those search results and how they come back.
Now, what is the difference between, say, this bug versus just SEO that drives whatever answer to the top or first page of Google?
Sure. Well, I think there's a big difference. So SEO is essentially the way that a business would market itself. So if you're searching for, best swimming pools in Atlanta and you're searching for that company, then private companies are going to basically pay to have their result, their company show up high in those search results. And so you're looking for a service or a product. SEO says, well, we're the ones to provide that to you. This is a little bit different. In this case, you would have people who are searching for information, and it's not like a news network is popping up saying we're the source of information. Instead, it's bad information being given within those search results. And so when you see companies like, or not companies, but groups like the Atlantic Council, groups like Media Matters, who we know are already having a huge impact on what people are seeing on Facebook and on Google, they would have the ability, in theory, to be able to manipulate those search results. And that's very different than someone saying, I'm looking for a product or a service.
Now, you and I have talked about this in the past, talked about how people have rewritten history, and you don't need Google for this, but White's Boykema, the hacker who found this vulnerability back in 2017, he reported this to Google in December of that year and says that the company allegedly fixed it, but never really made anything public about it. Are his concerns then of the public being served disinformation, are they valid if Google says, hey, we fixed it?
Right. Well, I don't know that we know that Google has fixed it. So Google says to him that they have. TechCrunch did some reporting on this, and they asked Google if it had been fixed, and Google did not respond to them. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, except to say that either Google is disinterested in talking about the subject entirely, or maybe it hasn't been fixed, or maybe, and this may sound conspiratorial, or maybe it's not supposed to be fixed, right? So we know this with Google, that there are a lot of different ways that Google is manipulating information. And we know that there was talk about them manipulating search results not too long ago when it came to conservatives and conservative news sites. There's been a lot of criticism of Google manipulating search results in general. Manipulating the information that comes up in results would really kind of be the next step in that process. And I think there is a huge concern here about how that can be used, why this is even available. I mean, how does creating these little keyboards on the side that give this information, how is that even beneficial to users? How is that beneficial to people who are using the site? But again, it really does come back to the issue of users themselves. Are people so unsavvy that they don't go beyond headlines, go beyond that initial search? I think they are, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little further, Ben. The bigger picture here. If the public believes immediately the results that are generated on that first page of Google, isn't that a major concern for us as a society?
Yeah. Yes, it really is. I mean, that's the problem, right? Is that we don't necessarily have a society of people who are intellectually curious. We do not necessarily have a society of people who are themselves critical thinkers. But I think you could argue that we live in a society that has been designed to prevent people from being critical thinkers. We see tech companies are not in the business of trying to make people think more. They're in the business of trying to make people think less and to serve information information to people, the information they want. And so that is a problem with our society. It is a problem with our generational issue in general, but I think it's something that we can overcome. I just think it's got to be an effort being made by critical thinkers within the society to say, stop believing search results. Stop believing everything that pops up in your news feed. You have to think differently about these things and question more.
Exactly. And given Google's recent controversy surrounding, as you recall, Google Plus, the bug that allowed app developers to access profile information of some 52 million users of Google Plus. I mean, once you get over the shock that there was 52 million Google Plus users,
That's right.
What should the average Google user think about when you're Googling something?
Well, I think that you need to be able to go onto Google and say, I understand from the moment that I log on that this is a private company. It's not an information company, and it's not a media company. It is an advertising and marketing company. And so their goal is to serve ads to me. Their goal is to sell my information. Their goal is to track me. Their goal is to present information to me that someone else once presented. And so it is not this kind of standalone agnostic site where you can go and be free to search. That's not what Google is. Google is a marketing company, and they're always marketing something to you. I think if you view them in that way, again, as a critical thinker, you can still use the technology in a positive way, but you understand where it's coming from. And far too few people see it that way.
Ben, always enlightening having these chats with you, my friend Ben Swann. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Manila.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.